Student-athletes are defined as a participant in an organized competitive sport sponsored by the educational institution in which he or she is enrolled. Student-athletes typically balance the roles of being a full-time student and a full-time athlete. In this documentary, we show you the student-athletes who struggle to do just that, balance both roles.
Student athletes go through a full day of school only to finish and go straight to practice. The demanding schedule of a student athlete causes the balance of their athletics and academics to become a problem. Depending on the intensity of the workout after school, students go home 2 to 3 hours after the normal time school is let out and still have to complete homework that may require 3 to 4 hours of work. This not only causes a lack of sleep, but leads to the lack of focus for the next day in school. Because of this, student athletes don't get the same advantage that students without extracurricular activities do, leading to a difference or drop in grades.
I participate in cheerleading and track and field, and when it comes to track and field, it's harder for me to find a medium between sleep and homework, because if I choose to stay up and finish my homework, then that results in less sleep for the next day and for practice. But if I choose to go to sleep and get the preferred amount of sleep, then that results in me not finishing or doing my work to the best of my ability.
We asked students to describe a normal day for them, including meets, competitions, or practice. Here is what they said.
Okay, so practice during season usually runs super late, so by the time I get home, I have to hurry and shower and eat dinner, and I can't start my homework till late. So I end up falling asleep while I'm doing it, and it's never finished. So the next day in class, I always get bad grades because my homework's incomplete. And I also can't even focus in class because I'm so tired from everything that I've done the day before, and that also results in bad grades.
So on a normal average day for when I have a wrestling match, I get up at 6 o'clock to come to school for morning practice at 6:30. We practice from 6:30 to 8:15, and then I go and shower, and then I hit the first block, and I'm tired from practice and having to get up early, so it makes focusing in class very hard for me to do. In all my classes, the day gets on, it gets harder and harder to focus because you get more tired. And then we leave for a match around 4:30, and the match doesn't begin until 5:30, and depending on how many teams are at the match, sometimes we don't end until 10, some nights we end at 9, depending. And normally after the match ends, we'll get back around 9:45. The match started at 9. 10:30, the match started at 10. That's not including when we have home matches. When we have home matches, we have to clean up after our matches, so I don't leave the school until 11 o'clock at night. And I still have to go home and shower and eat and do all my homework. And I'm up till 11:30, 12 at night, sometimes 1 or 2 in the morning working on projects. And then the next morning I get up at 7:30 to come to school on a normal morning. And I'm tired from the previous day, and I don't get to sleep, and I'm tired from having to get up. I don't have enough sleep, and so my grades tend to go down during wrestling season and soccer season when we're out so late due to practice or matches or whatnot. And it'd just be easier if we had more time after our matches before it was 1 or 2 in the morning to get stuff done, or even exempt us from having to do certain things. If we have good grades in class, I don't believe we should have to do the homework like everybody else should, because we have good grades clearly and we're already busy with other stuff.
We asked the parents of student athletes if they experienced their child staying up late, struggling to finish their homework.
Yes, my kid has struggled to stay up late to do homework. I've come downstairs and I've seen my kid be asleep, surrounded by books and paper. I've seen my kid after the next morning, after their sporting event that took place the night before, they'll have to sleep in until 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon because just being completely exhausted all week from so much work on the athlete side of the house. So yes, that's a huge thing. I've seen a lot of sleeping going on, but it's not being lazy, it's being actually really worn out and tired from schoolwork and from the school activity, the athletics.
Yes, after practicing games, my kids will come home and they'll struggle to finish their homework before falling asleep.
All right, so my daughter gets up early in the morning. She goes to school all day. Then she goes to track practice. And she gets home about 7:30 sometimes. We'll eat. And then she starts homework. Oh, wait. She's on the phone first. And then she does homework. And then she's on the phone, back and forth. She doesn't watch TV, but she's up all night doing homework. So at 11 o'clock, I say, "Are you almost done?" And she said, "Yep, about another hour." Another hour, I say. So she keeps going. I get into bed, her light is on, I hear her moving around, and I can't sleep because she's still doing homework. So I don't get it. So she's up all night doing math or English or physics or something. And I don't understand how she is to excel as an athlete if she's not giving her body the rest that it needs so that she can perform excellently. And then number two, I don't know how her brain is getting all that information in where it should go. Oh wait, let me back up. She goes to tutoring, not all the time, but sometimes for calculus. So then she comes home after school all day and track practice all day and then tutoring and then to do homework. Somewhere in between, I guess she breathes. Sometimes I feel like we don't have enough time to sit down and do family time because her life is so crammed. And then the weekend comes. But wait, there's a track meet. There's a track meet. She leaves school on Friday, or sometimes even Thursday. But normally Friday and Saturday, she's gone all day. So she leaves on Friday. She leaves school between 10 and 12, and then she doesn't get home until 10 o'clock that night. And then she has to get up to be on the bus at 6:30 to 7:15 the next day to go again all day the next day. So I'm trying to figure out how is my child, who is doing, I want to say fair to middling. Actually, I'm going to say pretty well for a young person who's not getting any sleep, who's taking challenging classes, who is excelling in athletics. Oh, and by the way, she gets second place often and doesn't think that it's good enough, so I don't even know about it until I hear about it on the PA system from Mr. Perez. Go Grizzlies.
In the surveys we conducted, we asked students what time they get home after competitions, meets, or games. Here you can see that out of 61, 47% said 9:30 p.m. and 11% 8:30 p.m. However, 36% responded individually and said they get home at a time between 9:30 and 11 o'clock p.m. This not only shows the demand and time consumption of a sport, but also emphasizes the lack of time they have left over when they get home to complete homework, eat, and sleep.
We asked students and coaches how they felt about mandatory study hall and morning practice. Here is what they said.
Mandatory study hall is a good idea just because you can keep an eye on the kids that are below the standard that you set for your team. Not only the standard that's set for the team, but the standard that's set for regulations on being eligible to play a sport. But on the flip side, kids do also miss practice time, so while they're in there, they're thinking about getting out of that practice. If there was a way that we could have a designated time after practices or somewhere during the school day, during lunchtime or something like that would also help, and that way the athlete doesn't feel like they have to miss out on practice time or coaching that they really need. But still staying in that mode, you got to make sure that we're student athletes first. So take care of your business, then study hall should be something that has to be done if they are not taking care of those things that they should be taking care of.
Morning practice, as you know, against afternoon practice, I think there needs to be a good mix, especially when balancing academics. Academics are much more rigorous than they used to be. So my thoughts on it as a coach are, I think a couple of times a week morning practice is great. Come in the morning, 6:45, 7 o'clock, work for an hour. That still gives students time to shower, get ready before class, go through their class day, be productive, and then have the afternoons free for whatever else they're doing, study hall, work, jobs, doing things at home that parents need them to do. So I think that's good. The bad part about it is I think if you start to do it too often, is that kids get into a bad pattern of getting up in the morning, which is early, coming to practice, going through school all day, but then still staying up late at night, either working on homework that they should be doing, early when they get home, and then they fall into a pattern where they're getting tired. So they may be productive in a morning practice, but as the day wears on, they start to feel fatigued, they're tired, they're not paying attention, and then they get burned out. So I think that practice in the morning a couple of times a week is very beneficial. But to start to do that as an ongoing thing, I think can be disruptive to the learning process in school. So used wisely, I think that it can be really good.
After school, I have practice, and I stay up late doing homework, and I do not get enough sleep at night. So if we have morning practice, I would go home and do my homework and get enough rest for the next day and be prepared.
We asked the parents of student athletes how they feel about mandatory study hall and morning practice.
I believe mandatory study hall is the best choice between the two because early morning practice has too many negative variables. Some students have to ride the bus to school and the buses don't run that early, so they couldn't make it to practice. And then other students, depending upon the sport, could be hurt, sore, or just exhausted throughout the day from their morning practice.
Well, okay. Mandatory study hall is a good thing. I think that'll give the kids an opportunity to sit down, and they're going to be tired from whatever they're doing throughout the day or even the night before. So sometimes if they get an opportunity or have it mandatory at the end of the day, then they can sit down, teachers are there, they can have questions answered for whatever they didn't get. I think what happens is when you have morning practices, and that's burning kids out early in the morning. And if we're talking about student athletes, what we have to remember is that student comes first. So a lot of schools enjoy the sports programs, athletic success, but it's burning hours on the kids on the clock for them, so that they're really, really tired in the morning, and then at the end of the day, they still being asked to do a lot. So I don't think that the morning practices are good for student athletes. The school gets the benefit, the team gets the benefit, but the student is being stretched really thin early on. And then, but if there was a mandatory study hall for students at the end of the day, or at some point built into the day, then that would give them an opportunity to have some extra time to catch up in order to go ask questions or go get one-on-one help that they might not otherwise have the opportunity, because their schedule is being cut short in the morning, and then their schedule is being cut short at the end of the day, or because sometimes a sporting event, their practice lasts so long, or the event itself, that they're cut short in their school day. So mandatory study hall, yes, but morning practices, no.
As a solution for student athletes who struggle to balance their academics and athletics, we decided to implement mandatory study hall and or morning practices.
In doing this, it'll give the student athletes a better opportunity to finish their homework and study before practice in the study hall, and it'll give them an opportunity to come home after practice and have a longer amount of time to finish any homework or study what they didn't get to study in the study hall. And it'll also give them an opportunity to shower, eat dinner, and not have to rush. And this way they'll go to bed at a better time and they'll be ready to learn in school the next day.
With morning practices, they'll get the same opportunity, but this time they'll practice in the morning instead and not practice after school. This leads to, again, a better advantage for them to go home, finish their homework, eat, sleep, and be ready to learn the next day.
Okay, I'm sorry. I am living proof of this video. It is 11:49 p.m. We are nowhere near done. We have papers everywhere. I'm tired. I still have look at this. Look at this. I still have my track stuff. I have practice at 6:45 a.m. and it is late. I am tired and I really want some ice cream.